Welcome back to Prevent-a-Thon for everyone. We're moving from millions of damage to millions of velocity as we are going to be starting off our Sonic block with Sonic Origins Sonic and Knuckles New Game Plus featuring neither of those characters. It's the Amy and Tails run with SnowballSMB. Good luck and have fun.
Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Snowball or SnowballSMB, and this is going to be Sonic Origins, Sonic and Knuckles, Amy and Tails New Game Plus. I know that category name is very long and a little bit confusing, but it's a very, very cool run. Quick rundown, Sonic Origins is a remastered collection of the original games, Sonic 1, CD, 2, and 3, and Knuckles. Along with some extra modes like Boss Rush and Mirror Mode, and also 12 Game Gear titles that I either haven't played or I'm really bad at. But we don't have to worry about those right now. We are going to do the Sonic and Knuckles half of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And because you can't just start a save of just Sonic and Knuckles, this has to be New Game Plus, so that means that I'll be starting with all 7 of the Super Emeralds, meaning Hyper Amy is on the table from the get-go. Tails will also be coming along for the ride, mostly just to troll me. Hopefully he'll be helpful though, we'll have to wait and see. But we're going to be starting from Mushroom Hill Zone and going up all the way through Death Egg. So I'm going to give a quick little countdown and then we are going to be off. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. First up, we are going to get a little bit of Knuckles throughout the run. We don't have to go in that door though. If you go in that door by hitting that button that Knuckles just hit, then you go straight to a big ring, which takes you to a special stage if you don't have all of the emeralds. If you do have all the emeralds, then a big ring will give you 50 rings, letting you go hyper immediately, as you need 50 rings to activate Super Hyper State. And then you will have drastically increased speed, you will have invincibility, you will have increased jump height, which is really, really nice. But the catch is your rings will be depleting while you are in Hyper State. So, sort of a nice little ring management challenge throughout the entirety of the run. But now I've already gotten the 50 rings that I need to activate Hyper Amy. Of course I fall down here because I've fallen down here literally every run of practice, so it'd only be fitting that in the marathon itself I did that. Start a spin dash, go around these loops nice and quick, and we are at the first little mini-boss. So Hyper Amy has this fun little thing where if you spam the super/hyper state activation button, so in this case it's Y on my Xbox controller, she will throw an endless stream of Pico Pico hammers at all of her foes. I have 2 little nicknames for this ability. One is a serious name and one is a sort of meme name. The serious name is Chaos Hammerstorm because I think that sounds cool. The meme name is Chaos Home Depot because it's lots of hammers. Hi Knuckles. So now we are coming up on into the sort of autumn forest portion of Mushroom Hill. We are going to go way up here, and we are going to be seeing a little instance of that good old big ring giving the 50 rings right here. There's just a big ring right along the path, meaning Hyper State is pretty much this whole stage, which is really nice because this stage is pretty lengthy. And oh yeah, if you get 100 rings, you get an extra life in the original game, but since lives aren't a thing in this one, you get coins. Coins can be used to retry special stages should you fail them. Oh hey, there's a big ring over there. And coins can also be used to purchase things like art, or sound effects / music, or cutscenes from the museum, the in-game museum, which is super, super cool. We are coming up onto the first Eggman fight. That's already 6 hits, and we're gonna get the last 2 really quickly here with some hammers and just a simple jump. And that is Mushroom Hill down. One thing I forgot to mention that is in this game that is not in this run, but each of the four titles, I should say, have another mode that is a mission mode, which pretty much just, there are various areas of a stage with a random goal. Sometimes you have to defeat a certain number of badniks before reaching the end, sometimes you have to collect a certain number of rings, so on and so forth. Every single game's mission set has a sort of remixed version of one of the egg fights with a gimmick going on that makes the fight ever so slightly harder. And the 3 and Knuckles Eggman fight mission is actually pretty rough. It's that Mushroom Hill fight, but with the the spikes like 2 or 3 times as frequent. So it gets pretty scary pretty quickly, especially since you have an incredibly small amount of rings for that fight. But enough about mission mode, we are coming on into Flying Battery. And I am going to just fail that jump because why not? We are coming up to the middle room, which is... It can go either very, very well or horribly wrong. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to go pretty well. Gonna just grab these extra rings, pop Piper, because that capsule, I sometimes land on it and it has a bunch of badniks in it, and if I get hit then that would not be good. I still did have my fire shield, or I don't remember which elemental shield I had. Yep. So that's not good. I'm just gonna restart the level in all honesty. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea, because I know whenever I try to go for that, I get crushed. So who wants to see the first half of Flying Battery Act 1 again? I don't know why. Flying Battery has been an absolute menace recently. Usually the stage is not too bad, but the past few days it has just been incredibly tough. Fortunately, once I get past the area that I just died at, it's smooth sailing. Like, that is the only real annoying part because of, like, how easy it is to make a misplay and end up having to restart the stage. Jump up here, jump around there. That time I had to play that room a little bit dicier because of getting a slower cycle onto the moving platforms. So now I'm going to do what I really should have done in the first place, which is wait for this to come down. Of course, it's gonna take its sweet old time doing that. Alright, Tails. Tails? Tails is in a trolling mood today, which is not good because Flying Battery is as well. But we are taking Top Route. Top Route is just significantly nicer. Now we need some of these missiles to open up a hole in the floor. Unfortunately, we need 2 cycles of missiles to break open the floor. If this was Sonic Mania, then we would only need 1. That is honestly maybe my favorite change to any of the returning zones in Sonic Mania, just because I find waiting here for the missile cycles to be incredibly tedious. Now we are going to fight one of the animal capsules. Because why not? So this fight's real hard, as you can see. I am going to actually have to start moving probably off of this attack. No, okay, I can now I need to get off with each attack because I no longer have Hyper State, meaning I am no longer invincible. I do have a lightning shield, so I can tank 1 hit, but I would like to keep the lightning shield into Act 2, just because the secondary effect of a lightning shield is rings get magnetized to you, so that just makes collecting rings for activating Hyper State really, really nice. I should probably explain the various elemental shields, lightning shield, has ring magnetism, and also makes you immune to electric type damage. And then there is the bubble shield, which prevents you from drowning, and the fire shield, which prevents you from taking damage from like fire and lava and stuff like that. There are various movement buffs that each of the shields have, but only Sonic gets access to those. Tails, Amy, and Knuckles do not, as they don't really need them, because they've got enough in terms of other abilities. Like, Amy's got her big hammer jump that has an absolutely massive hitbox on it, making her quite the little boss destroyer in this game. And she also has a version of Sonic's drop dash that is called I think it's called Hammer Rush. It's not quite as strong as the spin dash, but it does pretty much the same thing and is very handy to have. But now I'm activating Hyperstate, and I would like to keep this all the way up to the boss fight, because the hammer spam really gives her an advantage over the others for getting through the Eggman fight at the end of this stage much faster than the other characters. The third little chain, and then the third again. There's another spot where I have to be really careful about that cycle because it is super easy to get crushed, and this is very late into the stage. So, with wanting to keep Hyperstate, I really don't want to get crushed there, because then I cannot be hyper for this fight, meaning, this little laser prison room is significantly slower, and the fight actually against Eggman coming up at the top of whatever this is also quite a bit slower because I would not have access to the silly hammer move. There's literally no reason for me to fly up here with Tails, by the way, because the floor is rising up, and it would just catch me. I just like coming up here early just to not have to worry about accidentally doing something silly and getting myself crushed. I'm going to start as far over here to the left as I can. And hammers away. So yeah, her hammer storm can hit Eggman when he's just hanging out under the stage, which is really nice, and I forgot how close that capsule is to the actual stage. I'm still a little bit salty about Flying Battery 1. Now we are going on to literally my favorite zone in the entirety of Sonic. That is not a joke, that is not an exaggeration. I adore Sandopolis Zone. And I am going to just get hit by that scorpion, and Tails is not going to pick up that ring, which is a little bit scary, but that's fine because there are rings there. I have always loved these sort of like Egyptian desert-themed stages in video games, and Sandopolis is just so cool, the music is so cool. The level design I personally really like. I like all of these different sand streams that can take you to different routes. That being said, Sandopolis is probably the hardest zone in this run. There are so many different ways that both this stage and Act 2 can go very wrong. Hopefully I got all of the stage going wrong out of my system on Flying Battery Act 1, so hopefully we'll have a nice and lovely, pretty tame Sandopolis Act 1. Charge the spin dash and jump up there just to skip that little sand slide, because if you don't get the jump all the way up to the top of that, it is rough. Finally timed that jump right again. I missed that jump timing in every single one of my practice runs leading up to this event, and had to wait around for Tails to come back so he could fly me up there. Now, before releasing the spin dash there, I have to make sure that I get rid of that enemy, because that enemy also has just sort of like the properties of one of just the stones that are throughout this stage. And if you release the spin dash too early, you'll pretty much clip yourself in between the bottom of the enemy and the floor, and you will get crushed and die. And there is not a checkpoint before that point, so you will just lose over a minute. And after losing over a minute to Flying Battery, I don't want to do that here. But this is Regirock. We just have to let him jump over here, so this would be a great time for any messages that the host has.
Well, I think it's a good reminder that Sonic can sometimes skew the way that we view reality. So while Sonic works in infinite speed, or in this case Amy and Tails, we're not working with that large of metrics when it comes to Little Warriors. In fact, we're merely $16 away from achieving that Sonic CD Restored Ultimate Tails mod. So we are in a Sonic block. If we could do that quickly, it would be on brand, and I think Snowball would agree. I think everything needs to go fast for the next, 2 hours while all these wonderful Sonic runs are happening. So, if we make that happen, then time speeds up, and then the more donations we get, the further we get towards that $1,025 milestone of Spin Rhythm XD being unlocked. And that goes fast because those songs are ludicrous speed. So, Star Trek fans warp speed with Sonic crossover, that's what we're going with now. So there you go. I want to see those hit. Remember yesterday when I said I'm super, selfish and I want to be able to announce that these things are announced? Can we do that again for my selfishness, please? And for charity, of course, but mainly, find that perfect balance. Because Sonic does. Also, I love desert themes as well. They are some of my favorite in all video games.
Yeah. So now we are into Sandopolis Act 2. We are inside the pyramid. There are a few different gimmicks happening here. Most notably, the lights dimming out and those little ghosts starting to haunt the pyramid. And I am very lucky that the cycle on that, oh my god. Okay, so I almost got crushed twice there. That was absolutely horrifying. That was a little too good, because I need to come over here to open up this, or to use this switch to open up a door that's at the top of that, barrel. But now we are to part of the stage that I like to call the Sun-Baked Sandcastle portion of the stage, because one of my favorite games from my childhood is Super Mario Galaxy, and there is a level in the I think it's called the Dusty Dune Galaxy, called Sun-Baked Sandcastle, where there is you're in a big tower, pretty much, and there is rising sand chasing after you, and you have to get to the star before you get crushed by the sand. And similar thing going on here. I really need to turn the lights on. Thankfully, there is a light switch up here, and there is enough time to grab it. Tails, I need you to come back, dude. Oh, this is gonna be dicey. Because I've gotta open up these two doors. Tails, please stop trying to close the doors faster. So when I said at the start of the run that Tails likes to troll, it's the little things like that. But also, the ghosts hitting me when they did is mildly problematic, because usually I have enough rings to activate Hyperstate here. We very much don't. So that means that the rest of this stage is going to go a fair amount slower than normal because of just how strong that speed increase is that you get from Hyperstate. Hopefully I'll be able to activate Hyperstate for the boss fight, because the amount of time save there is from that is very extreme. There should be more than enough rings throughout the rest of the stage. The only question is, can I get through the rest of the stage without getting hit? And if I had remembered the angle of where those rings were there, I would have been fine. Okay, I'm fine now, so I'm going to open up another door down here. Wait, Tails is going to hit the light switch, which is nice. I'm going to hit that checkpoint for safety, because this has been a kind of trolley run, and I'm not feeling safe. Yeah, that's sort of why I wanted to have Hyper State for that fight. Hyper Amy just sort of shreds that boss. Amy already is a little boss destroyer in this game, but when you activate her Hyper State and have access to all those hammers and invincibility, it's pretty extraordinary what she's capable of. Now we are on to probably my second favorite zone in probably all of Sonic Origins, which is kind of ironic because they're literally back-to-back zones. We got Lava Reef. I feel like I'm always getting lost on this stage, even though, like, every single time I remember where I'm going, which is kind of ironic. Also, I am going to go a little bit off of the main track to pick up these rings, because this is a very long stage, and I need to speed things up with Hyper State, and I need to preserve that Hyper State for literally the entirety of the stage. Here's one of the gimmicks of Lava Reef Act 1. These elevators, Tails loves to troll in those by spin dashing the wrong way, making the elevator go up a little bit. There are also these doors that have switches that you bump into to activate. If you land on that machine before it fully sinks into the lava, then you will just pop right back up and literally have the perfect amount of height to bump into that switch, which is very, very convenient. Also, those spiky platforms with the jets that rise up and down and then smash down. There is one later that is actually very threatening because it like barely goes up at all. So it's definitely easy to get crushed by that one if you're not ready for it. Also, I should mention, when you're in Hyper State, almost all the time you never want to use Amy's Hammer Rush, because the Hammer Rush has a fixed amount of speed to it that I think is equal to like either a 1 or 2 charge spin dash. So Hyper Amy's base movement speed is just significantly higher. And I need to get rid of that chimney because it hit me with the smog that drastically slows me down. Oh my god, please hit this one more time. Alright, good. Now we've got a little grabby hand, and we literally just stand here. And I am going to take this opportunity to have a sip of water. Make sure that you're staying hydrated, everyone. Keeping the lightning shield into Act 2 is nice because there is a fire jet that, pretty much always hits you right there. The cycle on that is evil. I'm not friends with that fire jet. But now we've got the nice, lovely crystal effect of Act 2. Lava Reef Act 2 just looks so, so pretty. In my opinion, this is one of the prettiest looking zones in any of the classic era games. And I want to, yeah, hit that spring and jump off the wall in a way where I can grab that invincibility monitor, because that just helps with speeding up this portion of the run. Because now I don't have to worry about damage boosting or cycles or any of that stuff. And I'm going to get over here just on time. I am going to run into that chimney, which, that's not ideal, but it should be workable. Now I need to be very careful not to overextend on these block cycles, because I think you can do that like a half cycle faster, but it's incredibly risky to do that. Now we're gonna take a little secret shortcut. I'm going to jump down here. There's a secret tunnel over here that takes us to a big ring and gives us 50 more rings and takes us right on over here. I am going to hit that checkpoint for safety. I am going to activate Hyper State now, even though this is like the longest boss fight in the entire run, and maybe all of Sonic Origins. But this allows me to drastically speed up the ending portion of the stage, and Knuckles is going to push this boulder into us, which is not very nice. And we're going to fall into the boss arena, which has a decent length auto-scroller, like, just stage portion here. But when the game transitions from the main part of Lava Reef 2 into this very long boss arena, it deactivates Hyperstate. But we are still able to activate Hyperstate one more time. The reason why I don't want to be in Hyperstate for this portion specifically is for two reasons. One, it would be just wastefully draining rings. And two, Hyperstate, as you've probably noticed throughout this run, has a drastically higher base movement speed. Meaning, on all of these platforms, Amy is much faster and much slightier, making it very, very likely to just slide off a platform into the abyss, die, and lose all of your rings. And that would not be good. But we are pretty much stuck in this for about a minute and a half, so if there are any messages from the host, that was another great time while we just admire Amy's idle animation in this game.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone for watching Prevent-a-Thon. We are a speedrunning marathon benefiting Little Warriors, a Canadian-based charity focused on the awareness, prevention, and treatment of child sexual abuse. Did you know that the first Prevent-a-Thon happened in June 2023, and Prevent-a-Thon has raised a total of $4,621 Canadian since we wrote this. We haven't put these numbers in yet. So I believe yesterday we announced it was over $5,000. I could do math. 4,600 plus 500. Yeah, that's over $5,000, which is super fantastic. And we're still working ourselves towards that target to get Sonic CD upgraded, or I don't know. I just want to see Tails and Sonic fused together, and also working towards getting that Spin Rhythm XD run unlocked. And here's the thing, right? We appreciate every donation towards Little Warriors, but we also appreciate spreading the word of this worthy cause. If you are on social media, you can also help out by sharing our social media posts and getting the word out about this event and Little Warriors. Type !socials in chat to get links to Prevent-a-Thon's social media.
Tails was a very good boy just now. He properly flew up and got a very early break on the capsule, which just speeds things up drastically. I timed that jump wrong and hit the ceiling. We are now in Hidden Palace, which is sort of like just connected to Lava Reef. We're about to fight Knuckles. The speed strat against Knuckles is very, very cheesy. Hit him once, and then he just gets stuck in the corner and keeps trying to glide and doesn't really know what to do, and Amy's hammer hitbox is so large that he just has no hope of beating that. I love the idea that Amy and Knuckles, just like in canon, would be both perfectly capable of beating the other up if they ever were to do any sort of sparring. I think that is just like a really funny idea, especially since Knuckles is very physically strong and Amy is also a little beast when it comes to strength. But yeah, Eggman's getting away with the Master Emerald. That's really not good. I'm going to be silly and slide down these stairs while Knuckles is getting up and punching a door. He's gonna take us to the elevator that will take us to Sky Sanctuary, which is the other zone of Sonic and Knuckles that only has one act. So there's a whole lot of relying on Tails to cut out a very large portion of this stage, so let's see how this goes. Also, there's no way to skip this cutscene, which is sad, so now Tails and Amy are gonna just tumble in the sky. But this is the stage where you fight Mecha Sonic. Mecha Sonic has 3 different boss fights. The first one being sort of like a sped up version of the first Eggman fight of the series from Green Hill with the Wrecking Ball. The second one being a remix of the Metropolis Zone boss fight from Sonic 2, and then the third fight being the proper battle against Mecha Sonic himself. Ideally speaking, Tails is going to help us cut out like half of the stage and entirely skip the Metropolis fight, which is nice because that is a fairly slow fight and it can get very out of control very quickly. But things are about to get pretty wild with what Tails is capable of. I need to go up here, bad cycle, on the portions of the stage that bob up and down. That's fine. Missed that jump. Got it back, though. I cannot believe I was able to get that cycle out. I probably shouldn't have taken the fire shield because I still have the lightning, but that honestly doesn't matter so long as I have an elemental shield. That's fine. Tails, I need you to come up here and not hit the pendulum thing. Thank you. Alright, Tails was fairly cooperative, once he got up. So, he's gonna carry us all the way up here. I'm going to get away with an absolute cheesy jump onto one of those, turntables again. And now Tails is gonna fly us up all the way over here to another one of these elevator orb things, and take us up to the final portion of the stage. I will be activating Hyper State now, just so that way I can speed on up, and much like pretty much every other boss fight, Hyper Amy drastically speeds up Mecha Sonic, because invincible, hammers, the whole works. That's 4 hits, just from standing on top of him. And that's the other 4 hits. So that fight has a little bit of RNG. Sometimes he will land facing the edge of the screen, and then slide backwards to the other end. Fortunately, I did not get that because I would have had to chase after him a little bit, and with what I got, I was able to just stand on top of him the entire time. And I hate this portion, because it's so easy to just get stuck for a really long time on that, like, light half-quarter pipe ramp thing. Tails, I need you to get over here. Tails needs to carry us up into a little secret passageway in the wall. That's one of the coin monitors. There would be an extra life there if there were lives, but fortunately there aren't. I am very happy that this game removed the life system. I personally never liked it, in really any game I've played. So I'm really glad that it's possible now to play Sonic 3 and Knuckles without that, and I hate this guy specifically. Why is he up here? He's just blocking the way. Fortunately, Hyper Amy is not as useful. On like the first big portion of the stage, as she is in like the later portion. I really do need Hyper Amy for the boss fight though, because the boss fight of this stage is Red Eye, and Red Eye is pretty tricky without being able to go hyper. That room went fairly okay. I am going to activate Hyper State now for safety purposes. Now we got a little roller coaster. I need to make sure to avoid every roller coaster on both acts, aside from the first one on each. The first one on each, you pretty much have to take. But the others do all sorts of completely unnecessary loop-de-loops, and they're super, super slow. Tails scoring a few hits of his own on Red Eye here. That was a pretty solid Death Egg one. we only have one stage left. We've got Death Egg, well, kind of two stages. Got Death Egg Act 2, and then the portion of the stage that is Death Egg Finale, where we fight the huge Death Egg robot. That's kind of its own separate stage, kind of not. It's... want to get rid of that enemy so that way you can't hit me with the little spike ball, because you start the stage with no rings, and that would be very bad. I do want this lightning shield just for a bit of extra protection, because there are some enemies like that guy that are super easy to hit. That is probably my least favorite enemy type in all of Sonic Origins. They just sort of slide around, stab the ground with big spiky spring things, and can bounce you backwards if you bump into the spring while it's extended, and it is super, super annoying. You can probably guess that one of the main gimmicks of Death Egg 2 has been, or will be, throughout the rest of the stage, the flipping the gravity, occasionally going on the ceiling, occasionally going on the proper ground. Also, I cannot believe I did not get hit by the spikes there. This part's actually pretty tricky to get through without getting... Fortunately, that went pretty well. Of course, I'm going to just jump into that set of spikes. That's perfectly fine, though. I'm going to... That's not as perfectly fine, because that's just unnecessary time loss. I do want to try to make sure that I have more than 60 rings going into the boss fight at the end of this act. Because on your first life in Death Egg Finale, you retain all of your rings and elemental shields that you might have, and that's really not good to get hit there. You retain all of your rings and elemental shields that you had at the end of Death Egg Act 2. Meaning, if I have, say, 65 to 70 rings going into the fight against the boss of Death Egg Act 2, which we love to call Uwu Ball, then I will have enough Hyperstate under almost every circumstance to beat Uwu Ball and have more than the required 50 amount to activate Hyperstate going into the Death Egg Finale. And Hyperstate can definitely speed up the fight against the Death Egg robot. But now I don't have to worry about skipping any more roller coasters, which is nice. I'm going to grab this lightning shield to magnetize rings, and also there is another portion of the stage with an electric floor. I want to be able to just run over that without taking damage, because it's significantly faster, and I don't think I'm going to have quite as many rings as I was hoping to have. 65, that should be fine. I am going to wait to activate Hyperstate until I'm up on the ceiling. What you're supposed to do in this fight is wait for Uwu Ball to drop these little spiky things, and then bump them. Oh my god, this is not good. Yo, car, get out of my way! Okay, so we don't have the Hyperstate showcase for Death Egg Finale because Uwu Ball was very, very uncooperative, which is unfortunate. But we do at least have the Lightning Shield and 46 rings, so we can take multiple hits. This is the final boss, so time will be coming up after the fade to white finishes, after the third phase of the fight. So I will be calling for that, so just be ready for it. The first phase, we have to sort of... We just have to spin dash all of his big old fingies, because he's trying to squish us, and that's not very nice. One to go. Just hold the spin dash, and we are good. Next phase. He's gonna be chasing us, knocking down the floor as he goes. We have to hit his nose to open up the Master Emerald and get the core of the machine. He will also blow fire out of his nose. I'm not quite sure why. I think he should probably get that checked out. But now we have one final phase. The chase sequence. Eggman is going to be in just his trademark Eggmobile, trying to get away with the Master Emerald, but we don't want to let him do that. That's 4 hits down, 4 hits to go. 1 hit from Amy, 1 hit from Tails. And that is the game. And... time. Whew. That is Sonic and Knuckles, Amy and Tails New Game Plus in Sonic Origins. I'm very happy with how that run went, except for Flying Battery Act 1. I feel like... and the Uwu Ball fight. I feel like everything else went super, super well. I'm especially happy with how Sandopolis went, and honestly, if Sandopolis goes well, then it's a good run in my book no matter what. I am going to give a few real quick shoutouts before signing off. Shoutouts to the Prevent-a-Thon team for having me back to show off another Amy Rose run. It's always a pleasure to do any sort of run for this marathon and to help raise money for such a good cause. Shoutouts to the Classic Sonic speedrunning community for being super supportive and super welcoming. Really cool batch of people. Shoutouts to all my friends at the Fast Pace Events team for giving me so many super cool opportunities and just for being super, super nice. And shoutouts to the Super Monkey Ball speedrunning community as well. I don't know why I was blanking on the name Super Monkey Ball, because the SMB in my name literally stands for Super Monkey Ball. But yeah, the Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble speedrunning community has been super, super good. Another game with Amy Rose. That's why I'm shouting them out. Shameless plug, you can find me on Twitch, YouTube, and Blue Sky at SnowballSMB. I play lots and lots of Amy Rose speedruns. I like to play some indie games. I also like to draw a lot of fan art, Amy Rose fan art. I've got some cool Amy Rose fan art in the works now. Yeah, thanks again so much to the Prevent-a-Thon team for having me on, and good luck everyone else running today. Let's keep the Sonic block going strong.
Well, Snowball, first off, thank you for that incredible run of Amy featuring Tails was there in the background somewhere. We are going to keep the Sonic block going because we received a $25 donation from Twillet Tender Warrior saying, "A great marathon for a wonderful cause. Much love to everyone involved," which actually has given us the Tails run. We have the Ultimate Tails mod for Sonic CD restored. Thank you, everybody, for making that happen. More Sonic on the way. We're going to take a short break. Stand up stretch, because we're going to the Olympics? See you in a little bit.